9/11 happened. I'm still, everybody's going to war. That's good because you put your retirement papers in already. No, they put a stop loss. They were like, you're not retiring. And I asked him, I said, well, what does that mean? He said, that's what that means.
I'm Bianca Cotton, and welcome to Behind the Confident Smile, a safe space for women to reveal the truths they carry beneath their confident exteriors. Each episode features honest conversations about the struggles, challenges, and experiences that often remain hidden. In this episode, we're talking about the inner world of a military wife married to a combat soldier, the love, the loneliness, the uncertainty, the strength. Behind the patriotic salute and thank you for your service are moments of deep fear, emotional labor, missed milestones, and sacrificial support. Joining me to discuss it all is Judy Weathers.
Bianca, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You got a story to tell, okay?
Oh, boy.
So you are married to a combat soldier.
Yes.
Define combat soldier for those who may not know what that means.
That is a veteran or person that have gone to war, that have actually been in combat. So they've been in some type of war like Iraq War, Desert Storm, Vietnam War, where they were actually active in the war zone themselves. So they were actually combat soldiers in that war zone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So take us back to how you met your husband.
I met Skip at our singles ministry at our church. It was funny because his spiritual mom told everybody, here's the log for everybody, just in case they need a ride or something. Do not use it to call people. What did Skip do? He used it to call. He was calling me, and I'm like, I don't like you. I was doing all of that. So eventually the last time I picked up the phone and he said, that was going to be my last time calling you. I was like, okay. So we just talked and we met, and that was almost 25 years ago, 26 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. This is before online dating. This is before like cell phones.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. 25 years ago. So at what point did you make a decision to say, okay, this is somebody I'm interested in?
We were like friends. When we talked on the phone, it was as if we knew each other for years. And we would talk about different things. We both liked to ski. We were in ski clubs.
Cool.
And we were just talking like we've met each other years ago, so we became friends first. And then we began to date. And he picked a place, I picked a place. He picked a place, and I'm like, I'm liking this, It was just real good dating. And then we decided, he was like, let's make this thing like a lifetime journey. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, Lord, what does that mean? Like, these are real. Because these are, like, okay, you're talking about some vows. Can I do this thing? And so we said, yeah. And that's when we got engaged. And then maybe a year later, that's when we got married. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're married. Was he a soldier then when you got married?
Yes, he had did active duty for years. And then after his active duty, he went into the National Guard. So he was going to stay in the National Guard and retire from there because he had enough years from active duty to National Guard. So yes, when I met him, he was National Guard. Okay. Active National Guard, meaning like they call them weekend warriors. So on the weekends, he did once a month, he did his training. But whatever they were connected to, we went, like if they had a Christmas party, I went to the parties for the soldiers, and I went here. So I was active with him, with the National Guard, but we already knew, like, he said, yeah, I got enough years to retire, so I'm going to go ahead and put my retirement papers in. And I'm like, okay, great. What benefits do I get?
Right.
As a wife, like, okay, do I get those free dinners, free
Right.
this and that? So, yeah, so I was active with him in the National Guard, yeah.
Right. Now let's talk about this plot twist about him putting in his papers to retire, but not being able to retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a shocker.
Take us to that moment.
So we were married in 2000, September 16th, 2000. And he was, still in the National Guard. And he was basically saying, like, okay, we're like going through, we got the honeymoon. He's like, I'm going to put my papers in for retirement. So he waited some months, 2001 rolls around. September 11th happened. 9/11 happened. We're like, oh, wow. So that night, he received an alert from his armory saying, hey, you're on high alert. And I'm sitting here like, we're all, the world kind of stopped right then and there. So I'm saying, well, everybody's going to war, but that's good because you put your retirement papers in already. No, they put a stop loss. They were like, you're not retiring. And I asked him, I said, well, what does that mean? He said, that's what that means. Like, they stopped my retirement because it could be a possibility that I could go to war. I said, but you're National Guard. You guys don't go to war. He said, we'll see what the government says. And that's what happened. They put a stop loss. Yeah.
So what happened shortly thereafter?
He was put on high alert, and this was 2001. And they were telling him it could be a possibility that you could go to war because at that time, they didn't have enough soldiers to deal with things that was going on over in Iraq. So from that point on, I was sitting there like, okay, what does this mean to me?
Right.
I've never been in this military life. And when you're National Guard, you're not on a base. You go to an armory where they gather at armories, but you're not living on a base. So he had his regular civilian job. His, National Guard job was just something he did once a month. So I was very concerned. And he kept saying, I already told you it could be a possibility that we could go to war. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So as 2001 came, then they got off a high alert. So I was like, okay, that's good. 2002, 2003, I'm thinking, okay, we're good. Maybe they're not going anything. 2004, they got activated. I said, okay, this is real. So they got activated in 2004, and they were supposed to ship off in 2005, but they said, no, we need to ship them off quicker because they have to get over to Iraq before they have their first, they were doing some voting or something. We need them over there now. So I said, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's when things begin to turn.
So in 2004, you are now a wife with your husband in Iraq.
Yes.
How did that feel for you? Like, what was the experience like watching him leave? And
Devastating. It really was. It was devastating because, you can watch all the shows you want. You can watch all the military shows like, oh, when they left off this, but when you're actually in it, it's real. I remember the day he left, we had to all meet at the armory. And you see the buses there. You drive up, you see all the buses getting ready to take them. And I just began to, internal panic, okay, you can hold yourself together. You can do this. Because I didn't want him to see me break or panic because I needed him to stay focused.
Right.
Only thing I kept saying, Lord, just bring him back. Bring him back. Bring him back. Just bring them back. That's all my focus was. So to watch them line up in their formation and you see all the other families around and then they call them out of formation and they go to the bus to get ready to leave, devastating. And I just remember walking out just in tears, just crying and crying. And I said, okay, here we go. It's starting, Didn't know how that process would be because this is my first time.
Right.
So yeah, it was a devastating process.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what you did that day after you left?
I remember my girlfriend. Yes, I do. I remember I was on my way home and my girlfriend told her mom, hey, where is she? Take her out to eat. So I remember sitting in Panera Bread eating, but my mind wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was eating, but it's like, this is real.
This is real.
He's gone. They went to a holding spot in Indianapolis and then from there they were going to go, and I think they flew into Kuwait was another holding spot, and then from there they went ahead to their areas where they were assigned to. But I just remember that day. After that, it kind of went a little blank, because I was just in denial. Yeah. I really was in denial. I was like, oh, this really did happen. Yeah. So, yeah.
And how long was he in Iraq?
He was in Iraq from 2004 all the way until, because we missed the first holidays. I think they came back 2000, maybe around Christmas time, 2005. So he was there for some months, He was there for almost a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was communication like then? Like, could he call you, write letters? Like, what is that like with being?
Yeah, at that time, phones weren't like they were. You
True.
couldn't do the FaceTime. So we had the cameras that we would put on our computers. He had one for his laptop. I had one for the computer at home. So if we wanted to talk, it was like that dial-up camera. It's like turn the camera on, and we could see each other from that. But he could only call me. I could not call him. So when we talked, it was only when he was able to call me. So if I didn't hear from him in weeks, I didn't hear from him in weeks. There was another lady that her husband was there too, and I'm like, I would call her, hey, have you heard from your husband? She's like, no, I haven't heard from my husband. So now, here I go, looking at TV, looking at CNN. Did I hear something? Did something happen in there? That went on the whole time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was traumatic.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, he called. So, and the calls would be at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on, because of the time zone. And if I begin to ask too many questions, I remember the calls would just go out. And I was like, okay, I must be asking questions like, how you doing? Where you're at? Da-da-da. Then all of a sudden, we would just lose connection because I'm talking too much, Certain things I'm not supposed to ask. This is government. This is combat, So I had to brace myself like, hi, just basic, because they monitor your calls.
Oh.
Yeah, they monitor calls, everything.
At what point did you pick up on that, though? Like,
when after they keep hanging up so many times, I was like, and then he was like, sweetheart, it's just certain things. I was like, okay, I get it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That would make me so, anxious, too.
Yeah, it is. And then even when we talk, I had to be all smiles. Hey.
At 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, get on the computer so we can see, how you doing? I'm great, da-da-da-da-da, all of that stuff. Get off, and I just broke. Because I couldn't let him see me sweat because I wanted him to stay focused on the mission that he had.
So during this time, did you have community what I mean by community, other wives or other people who had folks in war that you could talk to or do life with?
Well, because we were National Guard, he was National Guard, we didn't have a base where everybody was at a base. So we had like armories, like this armory over here, maybe having something, and this one could be having something, but it was never that close camaraderie with the spouses. There were a couple that I would, talk with, but as a collective group, we had something called a FRG, Family Readiness Person, Family Readiness Group. We did things like, okay, let's do facials one day, or let's go to the show. But it wasn't that close-knit community.
Like emotional support, therapy?
No,
group,
none of that. None of that.
Support group?
We did scrapbooking. We did a scrapbook, but as far as, I think it was new for everybody. We didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Only thing that kept coming up in my mind, because when these soldiers went over in 2002 at Fort Bragg's, and soldiers came back from Fort Bragg's, and they actually killed their spouses because of the mental state they were in. So that just kept popping up in my mind, like, is he going to come back good? Is he going to come back, So I'm sitting here like, no. I had friends that I used to talk with, but as far as community, we really didn't have a strong community in that. And that was very bad to me. It was very bad because who do you really talk to about what you're feeling, what you really don't know what you're feeling? What is this feeling that I'm feeling? What is this?
Part.
What is it that every time I hear a car door slam, I start freaking out? Because I know that in the military, if your loved one or someone is killed overseas, they come to your house and they tell you. So every time I heard a car door, I'm freaking out because I'm like, is that the military? Are they coming? So I would tell people, call before you come, or just, let me know if you're coming over. What was that feeling? You know what I'm saying? So going through all of these emotions of everything, no, I did not have emotional support or nothing like that. I don't think nobody really knew how to support you. Yeah.
I'm Curtis Tarver, inviting you to tune into Brothers Talking, a monthly program that brings together a cross-generational group of Black men, creating a brave space for honest, fearless discussion about the issues and challenges and opportunities for growth experienced by Black men. Join the conversation on CAN-TV, cable channel 19, or stream online at cantv.org or the CAN-TV Plus app. Elevated conversation and storytelling. Experience the power of community television.
Yeah.
That sounds very isolating.
Very much so. But thank God I had a friend. I had a couple of friends that was like, what are you doing? Let's take you out. Let's do, they can take you out. They can exercise with you. They can talk with
Try
you.
to help you occupy your time.
How to occupy your time and mind. But yet they didn't understand what I was dealing with because
you were trying to figure it out too.
I was trying to figure that thing out too. And it's a difference when you have someone in combat and when you don't have people in the military. So it's just a different thing. So they really didn't understand, but they were there.
Yeah.
They were there to help support.
Yeah. What was it like when Skip returned after his time in Iraq?
We were like, I was just excited, and he was like, oh, yes. I can't wait to come home. I'm not gonna complain about going to the grocery store anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep you up with that. So the excitement, I remember when they first came, we all went to Indianapolis because they were gonna arrive in Indianapolis. So I had to drive to Indianapolis. They put us all in a hangar, and airport hangar. So we were all there and we were waiting in anticipation. And it was just like what you would see on the commercials where when the doors raised up, only thing you saw were the boots and the screaming and it was just like excitement because your soldier is home. So we went through all of that and it's like, oh my God, my soldier is home. And he said, so once he got home, it was like, the military was like, checked him out for a few days. Oh, you're good. You can go back to civilization. You can go back to your work, blah, 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 all of that. So it took him about 3 weeks before he went back to work. And that's when things began to change. I remember we were going to Sam's. I said, oh, you want to go to the grocery store? Let's go. So we're on our way to Sam's, and we got stopped by a train. He freaked out. Why are you stopping? And me, I'm saying, because it's a train.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you have to move. We got to go. We got to go. And I'm like, calm down. You're home. Because that's when you get attacked. Because they were so used to being in their convoys. They're the king of the roads over there. You move for them. These convoys go, you move for them. So he's like, no, you get attacked when you're still. Let's go. We got to move. So I had to tell him, like, we're home. Then he's like, okay. So I was like, okay, what is that? So with that, even when in the grocery store, he was real, like, somebody cut me off. He went up to the guy. I was like, Skip, because he's always been a mild-mannered guy, So, yeah, things begin to change. His sleep habits begin to change. He would have night terrors. He would fall out the bed a lot. There were times where I got woken up in chokeholds because he thought I was the enemy. And I had to tell him, Skip, it's me, you know. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know, after the fact, because he went back to sleep and I'm like, what is this, you know? And so that really traumatized me because I'm like, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
Now, after about the 14th, 15th time he fell on the floor, I was like, okay, you're okay.
Now explain the falling on the floor.
We would be asleep. Then all of a sudden you hear, doo-doo, and you're jumping up like, what is that? And then you look over and he's just trying to get off the floor. And the first time it happened, I was like, oh my God, he's never fallen off the floor. What's going on? But through the dreams, the trauma that they deal with, his sleep is now, you know, interrupted a lot because of and he would say things like, I got him, okay, and just talking. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Now, he would do that a lot. So it's like, okay, Skip, calm down. You know, he goes to bed. Then you hear boom, boom, I'm jumping up again.
Wow.
Now, about the 14th to 15th time, I'll look over, I'm like, he's okay. Then I go back to bed. What do I do?
Right.
But yet he's sleeping, but my sleep is interrupted.
Right.
So think about my sleep being interrupted for years. When people would say, oh, just get sleep, I was like, yeah,
You don't
okay.
know what good sleep feels like.
Yeah.
So did Skip have language for what he was experiencing?
No, because he thought everything was normal. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm good.
So at what point in you all's journey did both of you like, okay, we know something is happening. This is not normal. Do we see a therapist, a psychologist? Like, what? What do we do?
Yeah, that's a great question because it wasn't until years later that you know how you can be and say like, why is he up? Or why is he, little quirky stuff would happen. And he was like, oh, sweetheart, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. He still was working. He still was, you know, going on with life, but it was certain things where things would happen and he would just go in the basement, turn on the surround sound, and I'm like, okay, that's odd. Well, maybe he just needs to calm down. I was always told that these guys kind of act a little different after, you know, they come back from war. So I was like, okay. But then I kept saying, is it me or, now I have no community, so I'm talking to myself.
Right.
Why is this me? Is this that? Something just, you know. And then I would talk to him. Do you think and I couldn't even pronounce what it was. I said, do you think you have that PS something? He was like,
The
no,
PTSD.
I'm normal. Everything is good. I'm like, okay. So we just flowed with that. You know, we worked off shift hours, you know, when he was working. So it's like you see each other so you flow with it. But yet I knew something's not right. So I was in search of like PTSD. What are the symptoms? How do people do things? Da, 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 da. I'm like on the internet now because back then I didn't have that. So this was like 2017. I mean, like recently, 17, 16, where I'm really like, now I'm getting into these communities like, oh, that's what that is. Then I came across one community. And when she was talking, I kept looking back saying, I'm not crazy. Yes, your husband experienced that. He does this, he does that. I said, Skip, do you know let's go to the VA. Do you know this isn't normal? He was like, okay, we can go to the VA. And so when we start speaking with someone in the VA, she said, does he work? I said, overtime like crazy. He would just do overtime. She said, yeah, that's part of the PTSD. I'm like, really? Where they just have to keep busy. They have to go. Now, granted, everybody's different.
Right.
So everybody has different symptoms, however they do it, but it's that. And then I noticed a little isolation. Like, I don't want to be around people. I'm okay with people. It depends. So I said, well, just start going to, they have groups. She's like, well, you know, we have groups. We have this. I said, just start going to a group. He went off and on. It wasn't like something that he wanted to do. And so I said, okay. But yet I'm still like, I'm listening to this person on Loving My Veteran, and I'm listening to Stacy talk, and I was like, and she was like, you have to do this, and this is going on. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not crazy. Something is going on, you know, but I need to research this thing. What is this? How is this? So trying to find communities were very hard. I was in them, but when I started reading certain things that these women deal with, I was like, oh,
Wow.
they're bleeding. They're just bleeding on, they're just bleeding. Yeah.
Judy.
Yeah.
Judy. What is, as we come to a close of you sharing with an open book, which is going to help so many people, what do you want other families to know who have a family member that went to war?
That is not their fault. They come back because of the experience that they've experienced. But get them in some type of therapy, they have a lot now, more now than ever. They have a lot that you can have different type of therapy. They have horse therapy. They have different type of therapeutic places that they can go. My husband went to an organization, a nonprofit organization that helped. It was a faith-based nonprofit organization that helped him tremendously. So there are places there for a lot for the veterans, just support your veteran, love on your veteran. That's what I can tell you. Just love on them. It'll be okay,
Yeah.
once you start, dealing with the mental issues and everything, but get them as much support as possible and get yourself some support. If you're the spouse, get yourself some support.
Yeah. And the children, too, if you have
Oh,
children.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Well, Judy, write that book, okay? Write that book. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to process your journey, right? So
Yeah.
that you can be a vessel and a support to others. It's powerful. That's our time for this week. Thank you for making Behind the Confident Smile a part of your day. Let's stay connected on social media. Share your questions, comments, show ideas with me at Behind the Confident Smile Podcast on Instagram. Until we meet again, keep striving, keep smiling.